Welcome to Rich Conversations. Today, I'm so excited for today's episode because we have a very special guest, a wonderful human being, Collin O'Brien. Welcome back to the show.
Wow, Rich, thanks for having me. It's great to be back. Wow. It's nice to see the progression of the podcast and this show.
You know? Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of our production we have now?
Man, production has just really gone up tenfold. Not that it was lacking before, but now there's video, there's a bunch of cameras, you got lights. Yeah. I think last time we just went to Bourgeois Pig down the road and just had a nice chat.
Yeah, this was summer 2019, so it's been 2 years.
Wow.
It's 2 years, and we went to Bourgeois Pig, and then there was like jazz music playing really loud in the background, and I used like not the right type of mics, but it worked out okay. So I did a bunch of practice episodes with just friends and just, hey, you mind if we just like practice recording? And I was so happy with our podcast because Collin is such a great person and a guest and so fun. I was like, I think I reached back out to you. I'm like, hey, what do you think about putting that practice one as a real one?
I loved it. It was a great conversation, and we've been friends for so long. We used to work here at Lincoln Station together, and I just felt like so comfortable chatting with you, and like that one. Yeah, I feel like the conversation just really unfolded like naturally and kind of got deep. You know, it was cool.
Yeah, you went deep.
Yeah,
Collin went deep.
I went deep on that one.
Yeah. I would say a lot has happened in 2 years since the last time we spoke.
You could say that again.
I think a lot has happened since the last 2 years since we met up. Where to begin? It's like one of the big things I thought about during COVID and everything, among other things, was Collin, when you came on the podcast, your dream was to play music and travel outside of the country. And you were scheduled to do that. You were scheduled to do that the summer of 2020 and realize this dream that he's had for so long because he's been grinding. And then that happened. And I was just like so bummed for you because I knew how much that meant to you and how you were looking forward to it. And now you're back right on track though.
We're lucky enough to have a European tour in the books again and a festival date in Mexico now for 2022.
I should start this off by saying, so Collin is the drummer in the Neal Francis band. Neal came on episode 92. We went over to his place, and it was so much fun. And Neal's got a new record coming out this fall. He's got a new single out, and just doing awesome things. And Collin is drumming with him, and it's so much fun. It's so great to see it. And this episode will come out right before you're playing at the Pritzker Pavilion.
Oh, cool! Nice.
And I'll be there. If anybody wants to come, hit me up. We'll have a great time.
Yeah, it's a free show. Bring some wine and cheese, sit in the park.
Yeah.
Great.
I did not know this, but you can bring a cooler.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can go hard out there, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah.
So you're touring.
Huh?
So you're back to touring.
We are back to touring. Yeah. It was pretty wild riding the pandemic out and stuff, and then kind of when shows were back on, like for us, it kind of just went 0 to 60 like really fast. We had the opportunity to open for the Revivalists at Red Rocks for 2 nights, which if that would have happened in 2020 on the original date, it would have only been 1 night. Okay. So that was sort of like a little blessing, like, you know, get to play one of the best venues in America twice in a row.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and then we've just had some really great opportunities kind of coming out of the pandemic, and I'm really proud of the band and our manager Brendan and our whole team for kind of just like keeping our head up throughout all the wild stuff that, you know, that the COVID era brought on. But yeah, I think it was a good lesson for all of us to just like, you know, roll with the punches and, keep your head above water and keep pushing.
Yeah, so I know, I talked to Neal about it, and he had been in like just touring mode, live mode, and watching Neal play live is a great experience. It's so energetic and filled with so much like hope and energy, and he had a shift to recording. So then his whole space became like a recording setup, and he brought in these old machines, and other members in the band are all putting their heads together to figure out how they're going to record and everything. What also have you been doing during that time?
So yeah, recording this last record was a really amazing experience. I guess I should start like when the pandemic kind of hit, or when the quarantine for like the whole nation started. We were on the road, and we were in Seattle, so we were supposed to do like a radio, like a filmed tape radio session the next morning, and we woke up and like that was canceled, and then everything else was canceled. So we were like starting to drive home, and at the time I was living in Denver, and we didn't really know what was going to happen because no one knew what was going to happen. We didn't know if like it was going to be 2 weeks of shows canceled or 2 months, or we had no idea. So we were actually like coming up to the split on the highway to go back to Denver and take me home, and then the rest of the band was going to go back to Chicago. And all morning I was like, yeah, I'm still paying rent at this place in Denver. Like I should go live there if we're not going to be playing shows and stuff. And that morning it kind of dawned on me. I was like, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, and like if I split up with you guys, like when's the next time we're going to be able to practice or do anything? So like literally like at the fork in the road, I was just like, you know what, like screw it, I'll go back to Chicago. And like, and Neal was super gracious and kind enough to let me move in with him. And at the time, Rich, as you know, you went to the church, but so Neal was living in a church out in like Belmont Cragen that he used to play church organ for, and they let him move into like the parsonage. So both Neal and Lil, who owned the church, were nice enough to let me like move in to like one of the extra rooms there, and like ride the pandemic out there, which was pretty incredible. But we also had the opportunity to like build this studio, essentially like not entirely from scratch. Our friend Mike Novak brought like his whole studio rig over, which he usually keeps at Chicago Electric Piano Company. And then Neal and the band bought 2 different tape machines. So just over time, we like amassed all this gear, all this like old analog music gear, like just like shit from like sorry, I don't mean to swear, stuff from like the 60s and 70s and everything. And yeah, we built this analog studio, and just like had all this time to like write and record and mix and like
How would you describe Neal's music to listeners?
Man, it like lyrically, his music comes from like a very genuine place that's like deep inside. Like he doesn't have many like throwaway lyrics at all. Like a lot of his stuff really like resonates with either things that he's been through or topics that he can really speak truthfully from. And then musically, like on this record, it really spans a lot of different genres. Like it's going in between like New Orleans funk from the 70s to like more like I don't know, like Hall & Oates almost inspired stuff to like Pink Floyd inspired stuff, but definitely based in like a rock and funk sort of like stew.
Yeah. He had mentioned that he was going in. The music wasn't exactly going to be the same as the last album, so I was really excited to kind of hear the directions going in. But what really tipped me off, not ticked, was the artwork for the single, the artwork on the website. I love this artwork. Who made this artwork?
His name's and I'm gonna butcher his last name. I'm so sorry. It's Raul Uriz.
Okay.
And we're Neal and the band. We have a good relationship with the guys at Dark Matter Coffee.
Okay.
And Raul does all the art for all the like Dark Matter cans and stuff.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that was like a long process of getting in touch with him and like getting the artwork created. We were working through.
It's awesome. This artwork is so awesome.
It's super cool. Yeah, it's like Neal's face, and there's like elements of the church that we were living in and recorded the record in, like interspersed. It's like a stained glass like drawing. It's cool.
It's like pop art meets Frank Lloyd Wright meets Neal Francis. This is so cool.
Which I think is like perfect for Neal, because like Neal originally went to college to be an architect.
Yeah.
He's super into architecture. We even have the blueprints of the church we were living in. We'd spend hours like looking.
Just studying the blueprints.
Yeah, super cool. But yeah, Raul really knocked it out of the park there.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You mentioned Red Rocks.
Yes.
I know you have a story about Red Rocks.
I sure do.
Let's hear it.
All right. So on the second night that we played Red Rocks, my amazing mother and brother came out. My dad unfortunately couldn't make it. He had work obligations. But yeah, my mom and brother came out, and as I was playing, I didn't see them at all before the show, and I wasn't sure I'd be able to like see them from the stage or anything. But I get out on stage and I look up, and like they're like the first people I see, and they're like right next to the soundboard. And
so how far away is this?
So Red Rocks is like, it's pretty steep, I guess. So like It wasn't as far as I thought it'd be. Like I could. Was
that the first time you were at Red Rocks?
I had seen one show there in like 2017. And then I had gone there like another time in Colorado, but when there wasn't a concert, you can go and like hike up the stairs and just like kind of like experience like the space. But that was definitely my first time playing there.
So it's a steep venue.
Yeah. So it's all these like big steps, big amphitheater steps that go up, and so it's weird. It's like the people in the front row don't seem that much farther back than the people in like the 10th row.
Oh wow!
A little bit, and then obviously as the crowd goes up, people get a little smaller. But in any case, I could see my mom and brother very clearly. I could see where they were, and so we play the second show, and I like get off stage, and I take a sip of water and kind of like wipe the sweat off my face, and I like run around the back of the stage to try to go meet them in the crowd. Yeah. And I go up to like the row that I think that that I thought they were in, and I go to the place where I like swear they were just sitting, and they're gone, and I'm still in like my like show outfit. Like I'd stick out like a sore thumb, and it's kind of cool. People are like, "Hey, like great show, like loved your drumming." And I'm like, "Thank you." I'm getting some compliments. It feels good.
Oh, Mr. Rockstar now.
Yeah, I'm like just looking for my mom, really. All of a sudden, someone like grabs my shoulders from like from like behind me, and they like spin me around, and they like pull my face like really close to theirs, and it's this like older woman who's definitely had a couple drinks and like 100 cigarettes that day, and she's wearing this big white cowboy hat, and just in the most gravelly voice, she's like, "You know what I love about you? You're always smiling." And I was like, "Thanks. Where's my mom?" It was a pretty great moment, but aside from that, it was a really, really great experience, you know, to play there and have some family and friends out to support, and you know, for all of us in the band too, like I think both nights, but you know, more prominently, I guess the first night we played, it was like Neal played this like Bach piece at the top of the show. He just like opened the show with this like Bach piece, and I don't remember which one it was exactly, but it's beautiful. And then at the end of it, he goes into like the first song, and the moment like the whole band like smashed in all together, like we like hit the first hit, and all of our eyes just like, we all just like looked at each other. We were like, what is going on right now? Like, where are we? Like, how did we get here?
Wow.
It was just this like really cool moment.
Where was that at?
That was at Red Rocks.
Red Rocks.
Yeah, that was like the first night.
So it's almost like, it's like the opening of a movie in a way, where I haven't seen a lot of movies, as you guys probably know, but I imagine that's like the opening shot, and then it goes back and it follows each of your individual stories.
Whoa. And
just the grind of just playing and getting better and better and better, and all the things you have to do to get there, and just, it's got to be a special moment.
It was, definitely. Yeah, it was weird. Like that whole day, sort of like leading up to that first Red Rocks show, it was like, you know, it was like pretty emotional. You know, I think we were all kind of thinking about all of our like individual like successes and failures in music, and you know, there was like a period of time that day where I was just thinking about all the dumb mistakes that I've made in my life and how I thought each time like that was it, and I like wasn't gonna go anywhere or do anything with music, and you know, I was like kind of like barking up the wrong tree career-wise or something. And and then kind of hitting in that first note, it was like, wow, it was all like at least worth something, like to get to this point, you know.
Yeah, and you'll never forget that moment in your life.
No, definitely.
Wow. So would you say Red Rocks is like the biggest, most monumental venue you've played at?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Thus far, absolutely. We did just play the Mission Ballroom in Denver as well, which is a new indoor venue. We opened for the Black Pumas there, and like those shows were really wild too. And I'm not sure, you know, crowd-wise, who, you know, which crowd was bigger. That doesn't really like concern me as much as like how the show felt, and like sort of like the feeling and energy, like, you know, in the room and everything. But yeah, those shows at Mission Ballroom felt really good too.
So then what's next on the hit list of venues?
Oh man,
that you're like gunning for.
I don't know. Like whatever comes our way, you know. Like it's pretty weird, kind of like thinking about those like big shows sort of after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of thought like you'd play Red Rocks and be like, oh, I can die happy. I played Red Rocks, and like now it's like, wow, cool. Like we did that. Like, all right. Like, what else are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Let's see what's around the corner. You know, like you know. And yeah, also like since we've played Red Rocks, we've played shows in tiny little bars and in like little small towns all over the country, and like some of those shows have felt amazing, you know, with like not even a packed crowd, like maybe a small crowd, but when everyone's really into it, it's like the energy in like some of those shows like are incredible too. So it's I don't know, I feel like we're in a place where we're not you know, we're not getting bummed out if the room isn't full each night. It's like it's still so much about the experience of playing the music, and less about where or what it looks like there, you know.
So then the Pritzker Pavilion coming up, what does that mean to you?
That's okay. So wow, yeah, I totally forgot that was next week. The Pritzker Pavilion it's a bucket list venue that that wasn't even ever a thought to be on my bucket list, because it was never in my realm of thinking that I, you know, would be in a project that was playing there. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be really special for me and the band and all of us. Like I don't know, when I first moved to Chicago, that was one of the first places I saw music. I went and saw like I think some orchestra play, and then like the next night I went back. I was at Columbia College, so I was living downtown, and I went back and saw like Andrew Bird play there, and like it just like blew my mind, like being in that setting in the middle of downtown Chicago, and it's just like you're sitting on the grass and it's so beautiful and like peaceful. Like I had never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd be on that stage. So that's gonna be a big one for us.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the tour.
Yeah.
So we have coming up. He's got dates booked all the way to August 2022.
We're gonna be busy.
All right. All right. So we have Milwaukee Summerfest. That's a good one. I like that one.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're in New York City, Philly, Brooklyn, Nashville, Baltimore, Charlotte, Evansville, Memphis, Madison, Grand Rapids, Raleigh, Greensboro, Atlanta, 2 different spots, Charleston, Wilmington, Asheville, San Francisco, Detroit, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Louisville, Indianapolis, Austin, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. Man, you're gonna be a busy guy. Minneapolis.
We are getting in that van.
What's okay? Now we're getting into international. What does QR stand for?
QR.
Is that like Cutter?
Where is that? Can I?
Wilco's Sky Blue Sky.
Oh, okay. So Wilco's Sky Blue Sky Festival is in, I think it's called like Quinta Roo. It's in Mexico.
Okay, Mexico.
So yeah, Wilco's doing this like I think 3 or 4 day festival at Riviera Maya, which is maybe like an hour and a half north of Tulum.
Okay.
And we're so excited to play that. I think we're the only other like Chicago act on that bill, and definitely like first international show, and in Mexico with Wilco, who's just one of my favorite, like one of the most incredible bands ever. Like,
so then 6 days from then, you play in London.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to Mexico. Gonna get real sunburnt. Probably fall a lot trying to go surfing. I don't know if there's surfing there, but and then we fly to London and then start our European tour. And that's going to be pretty jam-packed. You're
going to be so cultured by the time you come back.
I hope so. I hope we have time.
Netherlands and because you're still working.
Yeah,
it is work.
Yeah, I hope we have time to take some of the scenery in.
What's GE stand for?
GE.
Is that
what's the term?
Merlin, Nimgen. That's got to be like Scandinavian or something.
Maybe that might be.
Nijmegen.
I should know our schedule
NL?
better.
Well, this
NL will
is
be
like
Netherlands.
January next year.
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yep. Netherlands. I think we're doing some stuff in.
ZH.
Yeah, we're going to like
DE. DE looks like
Denmark. I think.
No, I think it's Germany.
Yep. Berlin.
Hamburg.
Yeah.
Oh, Paris.
Yeah.
Paris.
Paris.
Then Luke and some other spots.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited. I mean, that was the dream that we talked about in the last podcast we did. Yeah, I'm like super grateful that we have this opportunity, and you know, like our booking agent Josh set us up with like a European like tour manager, so you know, he's gonna help us get around and navigate and translate and everything. So you know, it feels like we'll be in good hands, and I'm just getting in the van, man. I'm just getting in the van. I just gotta get in the van on time, and you know.
Wow. That's special. It's so cool to see. Well, I've known you personally for such a long time, and just you're doing it.
Man, you're doing it too. Like, what episode of this podcast are you on? You're on like 100
This would be like probably like around in the 140s.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And you've like published multiple books now. Like, man, I'm proud of you, man.
Cheers to us.
Cheers to us. Cheers to Lincoln Station for allowing us to meet and work and make a living and
record this episode here.
Yeah, and record this episode.
Something I'm thinking about is like recording a series or something about the oral history of Lincoln Station. Because people will come in, be bartending on the weekends, and guys that are like in their 50s will swing by and talk about this spot 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many people that have come through, and so many people have built and created cherished memories here. What do you remember about working here?
Oh my gosh. I remember like so much. There's so much to unpack there. I just remember like coming in. Well, I remember like my interview, which was with Kelly Miller, which was like just hilarious. Like, you know, our friend Alex Vasily, who I'm wearing this shirt right now, who's also on the podcast.
He's
recently.
also on the pod.
Yeah, you know, he kind of like he was like my reference for getting in here. And I came in and chatted with Kelly, and she was like, "So like, Alex said you'll be good at this, so like you kind of already got the job." I was like, "Okay, cool." She was like, "Let me just tell you about it," and I was like, "All right, cool." She's like, "All right, like start tomorrow." So I come in, I work, and I'm like learning the ropes. I'm like really kind of nervous, trying to do everything right, and everyone's kind of like messing with me a little bit, but like in a fun way. And you know, they teach me how to like close everything up here, and I was just like the door guy, so you know, I'm taking the trash out, wiping the tables, putting the chairs up and stuff. I like finish all my duties, and I was like, yeah, you know, I'm, you know, waiting to get paid and stuff. So they pay me, and I start walking out, and Kelly's like, "Yo, where are you going?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Oh no, we're hanging." And like everyone who worked that night, we just like hung out here after the bar was closed and had so much fun. And it just started like such a great work relationship and friendships with like everyone here. And that kind of like grew into like the relationships of all the regulars and like all the patrons and all the former you know, the former employees who would come in and stuff. And I don't know. This place just like really welcomed me with open arms, and yeah, it's goddamn best job I've ever had outside of playing drums.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. What shifts in particular do you remember most?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Definitely the Cubs World Series was insane. I had like just started.
Wait, so what were you doing that night?
I had like just started serving, like I think a week before.
Yeah.
I was just like so underwater like every single night of the Cubs World Series, but
because Alex and I were trying to piece this together on the pod.
Yeah,
it's like who's all working? You and I were bartending. I know Sammy was serving.
Sammy was serving. I was serving. I think Jen and Kelly. I know. I think Kelly was managing, but she was serving because
it was just so busy.
It was so busy. Yeah, that was like trial by fire. Like, can you serve? And some nights I was like, I don't know if I can, and other nights it was like, I got this, you know. But that was epic. Also, all the Taste of Lincoln Avenues.
Oh yeah.
Where just like everyone on, you know, all the employees are working at once. It's just like a big party, but everyone's like really getting everything done, you know, which was really cool. Like, I don't know. I think one of the things I love most about this place is, you know, when everyone working can have a blast and can joke around and like have inside jokes, but everyone's like on their game and like running around and like really getting everything done and like, you know, like not sacrificing any service quality to like to the customers, and almost like making it more fun for the customers because they're like, man, everyone who works here is like really good friends, you know?
Yeah, like what I've experienced, like the culture built here is so impactful. And I think that's how like a local bar is able to stay in business as long as this place has.
Yeah.
Because of the culture that it builds and it creates. And people that become part of that culture, you know, it rubs off not only on the staff, but everybody else.
Yeah, totally.
They're there.
Yeah, it's inviting, you know? And, you know, like, I don't know, I feel like I get a vibe of a place, you know, pretty quick when I go to like bars or restaurants and stuff, and like, you know, sometimes you go in somewhere and like, even if the food and drinks are great, like kind of just like a stiff or like cold vibe, or like, you know, it seems like the employees are kind of like forcing like almost acting like they're friends, but you know they're not. And then like, I don't know, like I feel like you can walk in Lincoln Station on any given night of the week and like sit down at the bar and not know anyone, and like more often than not spark up a conversation with either someone working or someone you're sitting next to, and like, you know, like it just makes you want to come back because you're like, wow, like I felt like I did have a place there, you know, like,
the word cheers gets brought up.
Definitely. This is definitely this is definitely my Cheers bar in Chicago, and I hope it's everyone else's too.
Yeah, it's fun. What life skills would you say you took away from learning, or took away by working at Lincoln Station?
Honestly, so many. Like, it like really gave me a good positive sense of like work ethic. And before I was working at Lincoln Station, I was like teaching drum lessons, and like I didn't go to college to like learn how to teach, and I never like really like read music that well, so I was teaching drum lessons at like, you know, like People's Music School in Chicago and at School of Rock, but I can't say I was like the best teacher or like really knew like a lot of it. I like up here, like I knew what was going on, but I don't know if I could really like teach that well to someone without like writing it out or without writing it out correctly. And then I was just playing in a bunch of bands and just scraping by. You know, I was picking up any gig I could take, and
you were playing a lot of gigs.
I was playing a ton of gigs. I was a yes man. Like, someone would ask me to play something, I was just like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I'd run into like double booking myself a lot and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know, like the work ethic was there, but when I came to Lincoln Station, like that sort of changed as opposed of like individual work ethic to like, hey, like this whole night's gonna go really smooth if we're all kind of like eyes up, you know, on the same page, like working together and working hard, you know. Like, I'm really grateful for, you know, for working with Pat Collins. You know, he was kind of a no BS manager, and he would tell you like it is, and like I'm grateful for the mistakes that I made working for Pat, and I'm grateful for how he told me how I messed up, and you know, it really did, like it allowed me to grow and like not take any of like the constructive criticisms like as like slights on me, but as opportunities to grow from them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's just all good things here. Yeah.
Positive vibes only.
Yeah.
What's something you're curious about recently?
Wow. Man, I've been doing a lot of sort of introspective. I've been doing a lot of like introspective practices lately. Like, I kind of like realized pretty quickly coming out of the pandemic and like jumping right into like live shows that it would probably be in my best interest to like have an outlet to like talk or vent or process you know, things and events with, you know, like. So I ended up getting a therapist, and it was like the best decision ever. And yeah, he's super great, and you know, he used to play live music as well, so he kind of like knows what it's like to tour a bit. But then, so yeah, that's been a really great tool to have. I've started journaling for like the first time in my entire life, and I've been really falling in love with that, like having that time just like journaling my thoughts out. But I think something that I've been curious about and started to like explore is the last time we were out in Denver, one of my really good friends, Maddie, had started teaching diaphragmatic, I don't know if I'm saying that right, diaphragmatic breath work. And I had like heard things about like these like breath work techniques, and I reached out to her about it and did a breathwork session with her, and it was like totally unexpected and totally amazing. It really blew my mind. It was just like, you know, kind of like controlled deep breaths using your diaphragm, like.
So your diaphragm is here?
It's in your stomach, yeah. So like you like breathe in through your nose into your stomach, and then you pull it up to your chest, and then you like breathe out through your mouth, and you're like laying on your back, and you just kind of do that over and over again, and it like really like had this like, it was crazy. Like I had this like.
Well, describe these effects. What
So I had
everybody
this.
Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, totally. And a lot of people have this sort of like, you know, experience with it, but I had this like huge emotional sort of like release, and like it happened, it was really weird. I'm like breathing, and I'm like lying on my back on the ground, and Maddie's sort of like keeping like the pace of like my breaths and everything, of like when I should be breathing in and out, and all of a sudden like my whole body started like tingling, like really? All my nerve, you know like how your leg feels like when it falls asleep. Like I started feeling like that, like static almost, like all over my entire body, And then this is also common, and I was in no danger. But then my hands like kind of like clawed up, and like all my muscles started to like seize up. And this is like purely from breathing, just oxygen. All my muscles started to like seize up, and like my jaw started seizing up, and I'm like breathing, and it's like kind of getting like hard to breathe. And it was like all this energy was getting like built up like in my stomach basically, and on like one of the exhales I just started like basically like screaming, you know? And then I started like crying, and then it was like every exhale was just like releasing all of this like really like pent up stuff that I didn't even know was in there. And like I kind of like rode, you know, you can kind of like breathe, like do the breaths like faster, more intensely, and kind of like get up to that place, and then slow it down if it kind of gets intense. So I kind of like rode that wave like 4 times or whatever. And by the end, like I wasn't like crying anymore. And it's not like I was like sad about anything. It was just like coming out, and it felt amazing. And by the end, I was like laughing hysterically. And she did this like little like guided meditation at the end to kind of like debrief from it. And then I sat up, and she has this like adorable little dog named Penny who just like jumped in my lap. And it was a wild experience.
How long did this last?
This was like 45 minutes.
45. So you're breathing for like 40-ish minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like very like intentional like breathing. And it was wild, man. It was, like honestly, like, you know, people do like psychedelic drugs to like feel like a, you know, something close to that. It was very, very strange and kind of unexpected to like get to this like really wild emotional like place where you could release things just by like breathing.
Just breathing.
Yeah. And I left that day, and like she was like, drink a bunch of water, you know, like, you know, and I left that day. That was the night we played the Mission Ballroom, and I just felt like light on my feet. Like I felt like I had like really like gotten rid of a lot of like emotional baggage that I was either.
So is this like, does this process, is it for emotions to get out, or like body toxins, or?
I think it's more like, I think it's more emotional.
So it's like a concentration.
Yeah.
And like.
But the weird part about it is that like you're kind of not in control of like what it's gonna like bring up or anything. You're basically, what you're doing is you're just like pumping your system full of oxygen. You're doing like fast exhales out and like slow inhales in. So you're kind of just stacking oxygen in your system like steadily, and and all of a sudden like you know, your mind and everything, it kind of just like turns on autopilot, and like you're kind of just like in for the ride. And yeah, it's like I you know, I've been like journaling about the experience and everything. Tell me if I'm going long too.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah, I've been like journaling about the experience and like starting to piece together like maybe like what some of the things I was feeling like kind of like where they came from and stuff. But yeah, it was really wild.
That's so wild. It's just from breathing.
Just from breathing. Yeah.
So how does someone figure out how to do that, and that it does that?
It's actually like a pretty ancient practice. I think I don't know much of the history about it.
What's it called?
Diaphragmatic breath work. So breathing with your diaphragm. But my friend Maddie went and got like teacher training, and has been studying it for a super long time. And she actually used to work for the Mission Ballroom, and now is just like doing these like breathwork sessions like full time.
Wow.
So like she's like.
So then later that day you performed.
Yeah.
And would you say your performance was?
It was
better than
It was
your average, or
I think so. I at least in terms of how I felt on stage, like I was like so clear-headed. It was insane. Like I had like no like mental cloudiness for like the rest of the day, and it was really wild. And we took the stage, and I think it was the first show I think that I can remember that I've ever played with like almost no tension in my whole body. Like I wasn't over gripping the sticks, my shoulders weren't like up like this, like I wasn't clenching my jaw. I was like fully relaxed and like sitting up straight and playing, and the music was just like flowing, and it felt amazing. And like we all got off stage and we were just like, man, that was that was really fun, you know? Like so yeah, I've actually, Maddie reached out you know, to check in like a week or two later, and I was like, do you have any like little breathwork exercises I can do like before I play? And yeah, she gave me some exercises, not as intense as that, but I've worked that into like my pre-show routine. So like I like breathe for a little bit. Well, first I like jump rope, and then I warm up with the sticks a little bit, and then I do this breathing stuff, and then I meditate, and then I play.
You jump rope?
Yeah, because it gets your blood flowing.
Okay. Then you do breath work, and then what'd you say? Then you meditate?
I jump rope for like 5 to 10 minutes, you know, until I'm like kind of got a sweat going a little bit, until like the blood's flowing, and then I'll like warm up, you know, so do some like warm ups with the drumsticks, and then I'll do this breathing for like maybe like 10-15 minutes, and then I'll meditate for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Wow, so there's a whole process that goes into your performance beforehand.
Yeah.
What kind of meditation?
You know, it's like I don't know if it's any specific kind of meditation, but
well, is it the ones you shared with me like a few years ago?
Oh, like the Sam Harris stuff? That stuff is great. And sometimes I will use like one of those Sam Harris like 10-minute guided meditations, but other times I'll just throw a timer on, and I'll just like sit and like only focus on like, you know, slow inhale and slow exhale, and just like try to like clear my head. So that whole routine, like each step has a purpose. So like jumping rope gets your circulation going, and your blood, your circulation will, it'll carry like your like brain synapses to, you know, to like your hands and feet and stuff. So I want to get the blood flowing, so that there's quick reaction between what I'm thinking and what my hands are doing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and
science.
And then I'll warm up. So then like I'm getting, you know, used to like how the stick feels in my hand, and like the rebound and everything, and my, you know, circulation's up, so like I'm feeling all that. And then I'll do the breathing, which will kind of like calm me down, or kind of align the brain with the body.
Okay.
And then I'll meditate, which will try to clear the brain so I can be more present.
Yeah, explain the difference between the breathing and the meditation. Like, what's the difference between the two?
So the breathing, I'm like on my back, and it's sort of the same sort of breath that I did in the whole breathwork session, but a lot slower. So I'm doing that to kind of like align like my thoughts, or, you know, like what I'm kind of like the brain with the body.
Yeah.
So that's like pulling everything. Like all of these things are meant to just like pull everything together and like put you in the present. So the breathing's helping like my thoughts align with what my body can do physically, if that makes sense. And then the meditation, I'm like sitting up, eyes closed, and that's just to like clear any mental clutter out that's left. So ideally, when I hit the stage, I'm like fully present and aware of what's going on and can react to any cues from Neal or, you know, something cool that Collin does in his guitar solo or that sick bass riff that Mike did, and we can just like roll with that. And it's not like I'm not thinking about what happened in the last song. I'm not thinking about that transition
like
coming up.
And being in the moment as a musician is crucial to peak performance.
Yeah, I think so. At least for me, I find I play the best and kind of get the most out of the experience of playing the show if I'm just like right in every moment and not like thinking about how I messed up that song or how I might mess this up. It's like, no, just be there, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, why don't we end on that note? It's such a great thing to talk about. And even practice. And I know you said it doesn't make sense. Or if it works, it works. And a lot of times, the stuff you're saying is similar to stuff I've done. And it's hard to explain.
Right.
Until you experience it. And so it's hard to describe to people without them having experienced it.
Yeah, totally. And I think it looks different for everyone else too. And I'm always tweaking and like workshopping this little pre-show ritual and like finding something that works better, or something that doesn't work. You know, if something doesn't work that well, you know, just work around it and figure something else. But yeah, we've talked a lot about all that stuff.
Well, this has been so great having you on. It's always a pleasure seeing you, talking with you. It always brightens my day.
Likewise, man.
So awesome.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, man. Best of luck with everything, and let's, I'll pop in next time to work, and we'll
keep on rocking.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, much love, Rich. Thank you.